Regardless of whether you use MCC or SCC, a high complexity metric means that you have tangled code. In practice, this complexity can arise from multiple sources. Of course, using go-tos can easily result in both high complexity and impenetrable control flow in general. However, also contributing to complexity can be nested conditionals, overly complex operations in a single line of code, multiple return statements, and nested exceptions, even if these do not necessarily affect the complexity metric itself. You don't want a code that looks like this plate of spaghetti. Not only is it a tangled mess, but when you pull on an end of it that's sticking out, you have no idea which other end is going to start moving and which other pieces it's going to slide past on its way. In other words, you just can't understand the details because it's such a mess. Setting aside other sources of complexity, applying MCC itself generally involves setting a maximum target value. A typical target value is an MCC of 10 or 15 for any single software module. So you look at all your modules and look at the highest MCCs, and those are the ones that have complexity problems. 10 to 15 is somewhat of a soft target, but by the time you're at 30, usually that's pretty suspect. And in general, above 30, you should be thinking about how to break that software unit into multiple units to make review and testing easier and more effective. Above 50, software is generally untestable in practice because there are just too many unit tests to run, and you're going to have trouble arranging the test cases to actually hit all the deeply nested or various blocks of code. There can be exceptions to this rule in which code is easy to test and easy to understand, but there are few and special. The most notable exception is that if you have an absolutely flat switch statement that is handling a set of parallel cases, and the switch value is an input parameter, then probably it's okay because testing is pretty straightforward. This structure is typically seen on a message decoder or event dispatcher type of structure, but that's only a small fraction of your code. Even then, once you start putting nested if statements inside the big switch statement, you can easily get spaghetti. If you get a complexity metric above 75, then not only are you generally untestable, but it's likely that each time you change something, you'll break something else. In other words, a complexity metric above 75 predicts you'll have a bug farm in which fixing bugs just results in even more bugs. Generally, with a complexity metric above 75, really all you can do is throw the code away and redesign. It's important to note that these numbers are approximate, and depending on your situation, you might want to have somewhat different target numbers. However, the numeric guidelines I've given should be pretty close to what you should be doing.